got me next. I'm going to just be outlining our Generosity and Thankfulness Self-Assessment Toolkit that we developed as part of the work that went into creating our giving strategy 18 months or so ago. Now, the people who've attended the training that I've been running on the toolkit are often surprised that it isn't a stewardship campaign, and that's by design. It's 2 or 3 steps back before that. The toolkit is designed to help your church ensure that it has generosity and thankfulness as an integral part of its mission and ministry. And as Bishop Mark was mentioning, although parish share is important, and bills and all those massive challenges that we're all facing around that, it's not just about that. It's how we can be more generous and thankful within our own congregations, how those congregations can be more generous and thankful to the communities they serve, and finally, how our local communities can be more generous and thankful back to their churches. Now, when we presented this to Bishop's Council, the strategy, Rogers Gavunda, the Dean of Manchester, commented on our plans and said it far better than I could do. He said, regardless of how regularly local people attend their churches, they are still our parishioners. So to be generous and thankful, we need to be looking upwards, we need to be looking inwards, but as Bishop Mark just mentioned, we need to be looking outwards. So the toolkit is designed to identify what's right in these important areas for your church and your local community, your church community and the community outside of the 4 walls of the building. So it's not an identikit approach. It's about improving what you already have in place and then demonstrating those successes that you achieve to your church and its local community. It might be things that you might want to start that are completely new, but just be aware that takes time. Often it's better to build on what is already there and improve it rather than starting off with things completely from scratch. So what does the toolkit contain? We train facilitators to run this in their church communities. So that could be in a retreat, a planning away day, over a series of PCC meetings, or with a fundraising committee, or other volunteers if you've got them. The content of the pack includes 2 separate sets of PowerPoint slides. One is designed to be outward facing, and one is there to handhold and for me walking alongside you when you're doing that, with lots of annotated information to help and support you, plus speakers' notes to help and support those people who are delivering that as facilitators in your church community. We are also working on providing you with financial information around your church connected to generosity and giving from your annual parish return information as well. The aims of it, as a church community, we want you to reflect on those 5 questions. Those questions could be shared in advance of the meeting. So what do we mean by generosity and thankfulness? How can we ensure it's a core message, etc., as we run down those 5 questions? So we get a clear understanding. And if we're unsure of it, as I always say in all of my training sessions, there's no such thing as a stupid question. Because if you don't know the answer, we need to help you and support you to do that. So as I mentioned earlier, don't just think about what brand new things can we launch and develop. Work out what's going well. So go through a process of self-assessment and build your plans on your strengths. Develop what works. Don't try and give yourself a list of things that is all about redoing things from scratch, because that's not going to be something that is going to help you to achieve things. Some of these might be quick wins to demonstrate that success. And in doing that, you are moving your church and your community towards a shared vision. And that shared vision should be set out from the start. You know, create a sort of like a pen portrait, if you will, of what that success looks like. So that at the end of it, everybody knows what that looks like. That there is no doubt about actually what do we mean by success? Set that out clearly right from the very start. So if people could just mute themselves as they come in, that would be great. Thank you. Then on to next slide. It's about tackling the elephant in the room. I used this slide 2 years ago and it's still as valid today. It's about us talking about the importance of Christian giving and thankfulness, using theology as Bishop Mark has so wonderfully demonstrated to us. And it isn't about talking about this in a negative way, it's about doing it positively in our sermons, in our prayers, in our personal actions, and about telling people about what we do. It's a fantastic work that goes on in our church buildings, our parish halls, in our church schools, but we don't tell people about it. So share that information. We're doing a workshop session later on about communicating generosity and thankfulness. I'm not going to dwell on the Anglican Giving Survey because Jonathan de Bernard Wood, in his session following mine, is going to talk about this in greater detail. But you can see that on the screen. But what I did want to highlight, because Jonathan doesn't mention it, is the Church of England Giving Team have created a series of donor profiles based on the findings of the Anglican Giving Survey. And those donor profiles outline a number of typical donor types that we'll identify within our congregations. And those donor types outline their church-going habits, their giving habits and motivations, and the challenges that faces our churches. But at the bottom, you can see it also provides some hints and tips on opportunities to engage. And we share that information and give you those donor profiles when we run the training on the Generosity and Thankfulness Self-Assessment Toolkit. Now, the toolkit is quite similar. I know we've got some people from outside of our diocese. The National Church team also have a self-assessment toolkit, but we've deliberately honed ours into the 4 main themes of the giving strategy that was approved by Synod and Bishops' Council 18 months or so ago. And those 4 themes are listed on the screen. I'm going to run through one example of how we use each of the themes in the self-assessment toolkit. So generosity and thankfulness, rediscovering it, training for church communities, maximising tax-efficient giving, and improving fundraising, including how we can look outwards, in terms of fundraising, and how we can look at social enterprise type activities of using our church buildings to support our work, our mission, and our vision. So in each of the sections, we focus on 4 main questions. What does it mean to us? What's God calling us to do? What's our experience? What are we doing well? And what else could we do? And in rediscovering generosity and thankfulness, these are the slides that are prepared with the notes in to help our facilitators and the people who are going to be leading these sessions. So what does it mean? There are examples listed around what is generosity and thankfulness. Some of the things Bishop Mark's already mentioned, but one of the key things is around teaching people of all ages. A number of people said to us in our consultation process about the giving strategy is that they learned how to be generous and thankful sitting on the knees of their mums, their dads, their grandparents. They didn't learn that from the teaching and preaching in their churches. So part of the training element is going to be how we can develop that and roll that out and train our upcoming curates and train our serving clergy. But what does it mean? We use some examples to illustrate it as well. So these are a couple of church examples from winners of Church for Different World Awards, and there are examples like this running throughout the toolkit. What is God calling us to do? And I'm deeply grateful for the help and support from Reverend Paul Monk and Reverend Ian Bullock, who were part of the giving steering group in the diocese, who helped me with these areas. As you know, some of the biblical teachings, the teachings of Jesus, that we can use to illustrate these sections throughout the four themes of the toolkit. And then what is our experience? These are quite reflective questions about, you know, how would other people describe your church? Would that include being generous and thankful? How easy is it for people to donate? Are those methods of donation the methods that they want to use, or just the ones that your church is able to offer? And then the final couple of steps in each section is, what are we doing well? Where can we improve? And as I mentioned earlier on, some of those things might be things that you want to set up from scratch. Could be a giving device or an online giving platform. But there will be other things where you need to be quite reflective about, you know, developing your custom and practice in your church, how you do this within your church community, within your parish, within your benefice. Now, hopefully there'll be a number of ideas in that section, but then you want to think about specific examples of what you can do, but also prioritize them. What are the key things that we want to do? Keep a record of those. You might want to prioritize one or two to tackle. And if you've got multiple things across the four sections, it's perfectly okay for you to go away and think, right, we're going to focus on one or two things from generosity and thankfulness over the next 6 months to 12 months. I'm not expecting you to be thinking and feeling completely overwhelmed about doing 4 lots of things from each theme and having to tackle that all at once, because I'm well aware, and being somebody in church life as a former church warden and PCC member, I know you've got lots of other things on. So be kind to yourself in terms of how you plan and develop and implement these things going forwards. And in doing that, at the end of your meeting, once you've done that with your congregation, or maybe inviting people from outside of your congregation to attend those meetings, agree your actions. As I mentioned, it could be one or more areas of those 4 themes. It could be one action only that you do, and that could be more than enough for you to tackle. But clearly identify who is responsible. Hopefully that will be more than one person. You know, burden being shared is greatly important. And as part and parcel of that, agree the dates when those actions are aimed to be completed by, and be clear around what that success looks like. You'll need to share your actions and your expected outcomes from what you're planning. You may want to create your own sort of little giving strategy for your own church, your own parish, your own benefice or mission community. If you've got your own mission action plan, then that mission action plan could be used to store this information. And instead of creating something new, use what is already there. Talk about it within your church family and within your wider community. And I know it's stating the obvious, but pray for success. But then afterwards, make sure that what you are doing with those actions is you're monitoring them regularly. Maybe not every PCC meeting, but definitely looking back on how things have gone on an annual basis. There are lots of resources to help and support you from the team at our diocese, but within your own diocese. I know we've got some friends from Roman Catholic Archdiocese here as well, and from the National Church Giving team in the Church of England. Lots of help available to help you on your way in planning what you're going to be doing next and implementing that successfully. So once you've attended that, obviously you want to get this being implemented. You want to speak to your clergy and lay leaders. You want to get the generosity and the self-assessment toolkit added to your PCC agenda and plan a day for this to happen. Lots of resources available, lots of information provided to help you to do this and do this well. And if you do go ahead with this and you've implemented and you've ran it, let us know how you got on. Always useful to share and then inspire other churches as to what is happening just down the road. You know, if they can do it, why can't we? So tips for success: prayer, obviously, planning and preparation and reflection time before, during and after. Don't rush it. Allow yourself enough time. So that could be a retreat day, a planning day. If you want to run it in your PCC meetings, try and split it up into different sections over a number of them. Try not to rush it in one meeting. Be focused on the actions that you want to achieve. And if I can offer a word of advice, because I've been there, seen it, done it myself, is get a team of people around you. Don't feel as though you've got to do all of this yourself. Recruit people, approach people who you think will be good at helping you with this, especially those people outside of your PCC. Then have faith that God has a vision for your church community. Now, I want to highlight some workshops that are happening today that you might already be attending, or you could come back and watch next week or in the run-up to the 24th of December. The key one that I have highlighted in yellow is Reverend Andy Salmon's workshop from Salford Sacred Trinity. He is doing a session today on writing a generosity and thankfulness strategy or mission action plan. I could have listed all of the workshops in this section, being brutally honest, but I picked out a few where I thought, you know, there were hints and tips and resources available for you to utilize. And there are 2 training sessions coming up. One tail end of next week on Thursday evening, and then another one on the afternoon of Tuesday the 29th of November. I've not yet set the quarterly dates for 2022, but they will be publicised in due course if anybody would like to come along and attend. I have, once these slides are available, there are hyperlinks to Eventbrite to be able to book yourself in to come and attend those sessions.